Hello, everybody. Episode number 51, Drum Education Live. And today we have the amazing Rob Hirons, who's who's English, but he lives in France. He's going to tell us all about that. But before we start, he is the author of this amazing book, Groove Facility. Rob, why did you write this book?
Well, the book, as you probably aware in Dom's book, in Dom Familaro's book, It's Your Move, the last chapter is called Groove Facility. And what it's about is applying the molar technique, the molar movements to groove playing. So obviously, as you know, Dom does a lot of work on this, and so do I. We all work together with the free stroke movements and molar technique. Or what we call molar techniques. That's a whole other subject. We could talk hours about what different people call it, right? But it's just, at the end of the day, it's just movement. And what I found that was missing was elaborating on that subject of free stroke and molar, so the movements, because drumming all happens in the air, doesn't it, really? It's only the last bit of the stroke that we actually, the note comes out, but it all happens in the air. And so much of it, and so much of the success of drumming is about all that happens in the air, right? The noise that the stick makes when it hits the skin is just the end result, but the movement in the air is what's happening. And I found that there was a bit of lack of material that shows you how to take that and actually apply it to the drum set, because we all do molar and free stroke and that, but where do we all do it? We all do it on a pad. That's when everybody shows molar and the free stroke, they always do it on a pad. But you got to put it on the drum kit. And one of the things you got to take into account when you put it on a drum kit is it's not just independent movements, it's all together. So you've got to actually gain a lot of independence. For example, pumping motion on the hi-hat, 1 and 2 and so on, and some really strangely positioned ghost notes and accents with the left hand at the same time. And people don't practice that on a pad. So for me, it needed a book, and elaborating on that last chapter of Dom's book, which is excellent, an excellent chapter. That was really, I think Dom at that time had a lot of people doing different subjects, came from that book, elaborating on subjects that came from that book. Massimo Russo, for example, on the odd times, and that's really something that really I took to heart, because that's what I spend a lot of time doing. A lot of drummers come to me and say, okay, I'm an advanced drummer, but I need to get my sound out there. And I'm sort of, I've come to a point where I can't get past this point, and a lot of it will be down to movement. So that's what I spend a lot of time teaching. So it makes sense that I wanted to write a book about it.
Cool. Kira.
Amazing. What do you think is missing from drum education today?
Yeah, that's the question. That's the question I've been thinking about. I said, how am I going to answer that? Obviously, in preparation, I thought, I've got to work out some of these questions, and that's the question you always ask. And to be honest with you, I've really have spent all day going, oh no, what am I going to say? I could say that, and I could say this. Because, in actual fact, I'm hard pushed to come up with an answer, because there are so many great and varied drum teachers and drum teaching methods, books, educational establishments, individual teachers. There's so much out there that I'm hard pushed to find something that is missing, really. I think that it's a wonderful and rich world of drum education out there. So, I mean, there are sometimes there are a few things missing. Over here, we're in south of France, as you can see some of the sun there. Look at that reflecting. Yeah, that's the proof that I'm in the south of France.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we in England have no concept of sun.
I've seen it a few times, but I can't remember much about it. But down here, sometimes what a lot of schools can lack is the actual playing. They do a lot of work. I think the French are very, they're very much into all the the rudimentary stuff and the reading and all this sort of thing, which is very, very, very important. And they're fabulous. They're really very, very strict about that, so they can read really complicated stuff and heavy duty stuff. But sometimes, in my eyes, it's just a bit too much of that, and there isn't enough actually getting out there and playing along with music. So I'd say, maybe sometimes that can be lacking. But again, if what is missing in drum education, that's a big word. It's drum education right now today is full of fantastic opportunities. So that's the only answer I could come up with.
It's great.
What do you guys feel about that?
Well, I think it's, yeah, okay, thank you, Kieran. I think what's missing is what you said, mostly the connection with the instrument with actual music.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of pyrotechnics, but not enough, song oriented or music oriented material. Look at this amazing phrase I can play on its own, because there's no music that amazing phrase is going to fit anyway.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, the thing is, I don't really, as I said, there's so many people doing that I can't really qualify it myself as something that's missing, because some people aren't doing it enough, but some people are. There definitely needs to be an emphasis on that, and schools can be guilty. It's a bit of a hard word, but schools can be, they can sometimes take that approach because it's a school and you've got to learn it from a book and stuff like that. I teach music theory over where I am, and I always make a very big point of telling the students that music doesn't start on a blackboard. Well, actually, it's a whiteboard. But it doesn't start there. That's just the explanation. It starts with people picking up an instrument and playing what they feel. It starts there. It's totally abstract. And what we do, and it's the same thing for drum lessons, what we do is take that and we quantify it, and we explain it, and they're really writing out notes on a board and writing out explanations. It really is just that. It's how do we do it so that we can integrate that and go and do it ourselves. But music doesn't start on the board. It starts with just sitting down and playing an instrument. So that's really, really important to understand. And there are a lot of schools doing a lot of great music-based play-along things like that. I think it was on the sessions, Simon Phillips was saying that the best teaching experience that he had was just playing along to his favourite records. So that really is important. But I think as well as maybe sometimes an open mind can be missing.
Yeah,
I would say. That's where I like an open mind. I think that's really important.
and another question is, besides drums, what other instruments do you play?
Bass. Well, no, hold on. Let's just get this right. I dabble. Okay, I can get around a bass because I understand music, so I can work out lines really, really fast, like almost depending on the song while I'm playing it, because I've got a very good ear and I understand music. So I know music, and it's okay to get round on the bass. I wouldn't say I have any kind of technique on the bass, but I can definitely play some good stuff. I played in an Iron Maiden covers band a little while back, and that is some heavy bass duty.
Yeah.
So I can get around it. Guitar, I know how to do chords and stuff like that, but I couldn't go up on stage. I go up stage with the bass, and I do play bass in a group, but on guitar, I've dabbled and we've swapped around, and I can do stuff, but I'm not a guitarist in any form. Keyboard's the same thing. I know my way around it, but I wouldn't go on stage with it, and that's about it really. I do sing a little bit, strangely enough. Might be weird. But it can happen. But again, I'm not a singer. But I know these things, musically.
The second question is, how much does playing all these instruments help you as a drummer?
Yeah, I kind of thought that question was coming because it is very, very relevant. I don't think you would have to play, actually, say that you could play another instrument. Like I don't say, the only one I could say I play is bass. And, it's an insult to bass players because, I don't pretend, as I say, I've got any kind of worthwhile technique. But I don't think you would have to play, but I think it's good to know music. I've grown up, I grew up Newing. Shows I live in France now, doesn't it? Newing. I grew up working on these things. I took my degree in jazz studies in Leeds. So I know a lot about music. I think that's good. And as I say, I teach theory lessons over here. But I wouldn't say you have to actually have hands-on experience. I think it's good, but I wouldn't say it's essential. Does that help being a drummer? I think just basically the knowing about music really helps, and loads of experience of different types of music playing in a band. Just playing drums in a band, you soon get to work out how music is constructed and how all these things work.
Cool.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you got started on the drums?
I was attracted in school, in comprehensive school in Boston Spa. I was attracted to the naughtiness of the drums. I'll tell you why. It sounds a bit weird, actually. There was a few different rooms in where we started, and there was a drum room. And every dinner time, they'd all go up there and just make such a loud, such a loud, horrendous noise. It's so much fun. We'd all pile in there, and then we'd go around in turns. He's the best one, and no, he's getting to be the best, and all this sort of stuff. And I had some real models, some idols in there. And then, of course, we'd annoy like the flute teacher right next door. I mean, poor guy. Now think about it, and some other guys. And then that we'd be able to get. It'd be a competition to see who could get the teacher out of the staff room, which is way, 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 way down the corridor. And they could sometimes come down and they up and stuff like that, and then we'd all be there and go back the next day. So it was like it just found it one of those fascinating, a bit out there instruments. And that's where I really got inspired. So wow! And then I got into Neil Peart and these sort of guys, and it just always has always been there. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was what it was.
Did you have drum lessons, like formal lessons or anything?
I had drum lessons from a teacher called Ray Payne, and that again, Ray Payne he's obviously based up there in Leeds somewhere, but I can't remember where. But a great teacher, and again, your first teacher was always that guy, and wow, and I remember that guy was so good, and he taught me to read and all that sort of stuff. And again, the great thing was that we, during the afternoon lessons, we had to, I've got to go to my drum lesson. It's like, hi everybody, I'm going to my drum lesson, and they're all in a science class or something like maths, which makes me sound like a rebel, but I'm not. It's just great fun at that age. Went up to the drum room and had a lesson with this guy. And one of the great things, one of the greatest honors that I had was years later. I did a drum clinic in Leeds Drum Academy. I forgot the name, it's terrible. But I played a clinic up there, and I got Ray actually came in it. So that was so cool. It was so beautiful, such a beautiful moment, and it was just great because I haven't seen him for years and years and years, and it was really great. And I think he was happy as well that one of his students, who was a kid, came and did that, back in England. So that was a great fun, but a really good teacher, really, really nice teacher. Yeah. And some other guys in Leeds College of Music, Ronnie Bottomley, great teacher, Tony Faulkner, Dave Hassel. And then, of course, a long time not taking any lessons, and then Dom, obviously, in the last.
And how did you come across to Dom?
How did I get in contact? But that's a really weird one, actually. I ordered. It really is a weird one. I ordered "It's Your Move," okay, from his website, and it came. It arrived, it came in the post, and it was about like that big, like half its size. You know what size book it is. So it was like A5 kind of size. And I was like, what? It's very small, but really thick, right? Unbelievably, I opened it and I pulled it out, and "It's Your Move" folded in half. And so I went to Dom's website and sent him a mail saying, I can't believe, what's going on? Have you got this book? It just folded in half. Getting all raucous about it. And he got back to me and said, I'm so sorry, this has never happened. It must have been something at the post office, which obviously, I'm sure it was, because nobody can do that. How can you do that? And he said, I'm really, really sorry. And that just got us talking. And, I would have never have thought before of just sending him an email saying, Dom, can I have lessons? What does it take to have lessons? But it took that stupid kind of situation going on there and saying, hey, Dom, what's going on? And then we just got talking, and then it suddenly came to me, why don't I ask for a lesson? Like it's something really impossible that's only reserved for the elite. But of course, anybody can call up and do a lesson, especially now when it's online a lot as well. So that's how I got in contact with Dom. And since then, a great working relationship with him. And he, as you know, is a great inspiration to all of us. So, yeah.
True.
Definitely. So you're into some crazy odd meter, stuff. Stuff. Tell us about all that. How did you get into it, and what's your favorite thing to explore?
Yeah, very good question. I mean, I was going to say that actually. I mean, the question about what's missing sometimes, open-mindedness. You're right. I do like that. But if you see some of my videos, I know you see a lot of my videos, and you like them. Thank you very much for that. You're one of the three people that likes them. Thanks.
Not true.
But if you see those videos, you'll see that I do all sorts of stuff. I do some jazz stuff, and I do some straight stuff, really basic stuff, no fails. Just I like it all. But one of the things I do in the YouTube videos when I explain more about it is I do sometimes go back and do these really mad things, like a lot of superimposing different ordinal groupings over other things. And I mean, I've got another one going in my head right now. There's two bars. One's in I think it's 17/16. There's one's in 18/16. So what would that be? 9, yeah, 9/8. Sorry. Yeah, and then I'm going to try and superimpose fives and sevens, which would come out as 35 notes. And I just like getting into it. And the thing is, why? It's not really for musical purposes, because I can never kind of listen to that sort of stuff. It's just to challenge myself and others. And I'm trying to put a lot of that stuff I'm going to put on my Patreon channel. There's some like horrendous advertising going on there, as exclusive content that people can upload and try themselves with some tutorials and stuff. And it really is just to challenge yourself. And I did that in my group as well. We had a lot of that stuff going on, because I've got like a jazz fusion group. And we're working again on some stuff right now. And I love doing that sort of thing. It's challenging stuff, because I need that. Personally, but it really is challenging stuff. If you can push yourself to do these things, it will heighten your awareness. And when you go back to playing simpler stuff, which is what we all do, generally speaking, that will help. So I really don't adhere to the concept of I'm never going to practice that because I'm never going to use it, which is what a lot of people say. And there is that way of thinking, why bother doing that? We're never going to use it. No, I think we should bother doing that, because we may never use it, but who says that we have to use it? It's just we're using it when we're getting our minds to spin and to try and, enlarge our potential, basically, and our way of thinking. And then when we go back and play easier stuff, great, that we've got a margin of error,
Cool.
That's why I do it.
And is there a group facility 2 planned, or no?
No.
Okay, next question then.
No, there isn't. There isn't, but it's just something. I think there's other ways right now that I want to push the educational process. You know what? It's a shame, because I think it would be nice to do another book, and that may come out soon. Look at Paul Host doing some great books, and with yourself, some great books coming out there, and I think it's really, really nice. And I commend you doing it, because it's a lot of work, and unfortunately books don't sell as well as they should do, and that's really it's disappointing. But I think for now my educational avenues are not going there. It's more on the video stuff and general sharing. So there we go. So that's where I'm at now with that.
Cool.
And I want to talk about drum clinics. You've done quite a few, I believe. I guess I want to know a few things, like what do you enjoy about doing a drum clinic, and do you ever get any stage fright or nerves?
Okay. Yeah. Well, first question. What do I enjoy about doing it? Well, it's kind of it's just a live lesson. It's like one of my video lessons, and I'm talking about all these mad things, and I use those to do those mad things, because that's where I come from when I do drum clinics. Some people do the drum clinics, and they do the I think Paul does this really, really well when he did drum clinics. I mean, we all did them back in the day, and he would emphasize doing very simple stuff, and he did it really, really nicely. Classic drum parts and all these sort of things. Really, really back in the day when he did that. It was a great clinic that he was doing. But when I go out there, I want to do the stuff that that I am, what I could call special. It's my speciality. I mean, I do the thing that that I can do. That I have to offer that is a little bit different, and that in that case, that would be some of those odd note groupings and stuff like that. And it's tough when you get people going like that, 'cause it's tricky to understand. It really is tricky to understand odd times, and odd times and superimposing odd note groupings over odd times and stuff like that. I love doing it, but it does the thing that I understood is it really does go way over a lot of people's heads. It really does. And I've had to think about that. By the time I thought about it, we'd all stopped doing drummer clinics, because I think it was unfortunately already dying, I would say, if I dare use that word, before the pandemic. So what it is now, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if those sort of things would come back afterwards, whenever after may be. But I don't mean, I've been to your place, haven't I? Felipe, that was great. It was great fun. And it tends to be those little what you more likely call master classes, hands-on. I love doing that. That was really great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're very important to bring interaction between students, because learning is such a lonely process, because you have your lesson and then you spend your time practicing by yourself, and whenever you're going to play with other people, it's other instruments in a band. So you don't have that interaction with other drummers unless you go to university or a specialized school. So that's the main reason why I used to do the master classes in my studio, was exactly that, to bring drummers together to spend an hour talking about drums.
Yeah, and I commend people like yourself who took they still took the effort to do that, because again, I don't like to say it because I don't want to preach doom and gloom. That's not what we're here for. But I do find that it was a dying breed already, and it's very difficult. Used to have loads and loads of in France over here. We used to have loads and loads of festivals, drum festivals, like camps and stuff. And just one by one, not doing that anymore. Not doing that anymore. Not doing that anymore. And I think they've all gone. And there's very few people left actually doing it. And you get some of these mainstay people like yourself and so on, and then they'll just stop, and there's only a few of us actually hosting clinics, because people just don't go. That's the sad truth of it, is when we put a clinic on over in our school, unfortunately we don't get the numbers, and obviously it costs to move people around, and it's tricky. So yeah, that's it's a really good vehicle, and I say I commend you and some of the other ones who were still doing it while we could, because it takes a lot of work. You know that, Felipe, don't you? It takes a lot.
It does.
It takes it out of you, and then unfortunately sometimes you don't get the results. So yeah, it can be tricky. So yeah, did I answer both of your questions about the drum clinic?
So no, do you ever get? Did you? No. Did you, when you were doing them, did you ever suffer from nerves or stage fright, playing in a room full of drummers? Or no, because you're doing like advanced stuff?
I get nerves all the time, generally speaking, unless it would be like a pub gig with a group or something like that, and I just have a whale of a time. But anything where it's like focus like that on a drum clinic, yeah, and I would get horrendously, nervous about speaking, not the drumming's fine with that. But actually getting up there and talking, because that was the most difficult part for me. And I remember I used to do some end of year concerts and go and play demo and stuff like that. And I'd put them on in a place out of town where I could control the numbers, and then where our school is, which unfortunately you haven't been to yet, but you have to come over when it's all going on. There's a big open place, there's a big open stage, and loads of people go past, and you can't control that. So to counter those nerves, I said, well, if I'm going to do this, I can't go around hiding. I can't speak to a public and hide. So I just said, I'll do it there, and it's anybody who comes, they come. And now, to be fair, and in French specifically, I can, if it goes all right, I can work the crowd really nicely, especially if it's big numbers. Sometimes what happens is you feel, I think there's a perception when you're speaking to these people, the perception they're not enjoying it. You look around and you're seeing people doing this. But it's not necessarily the truth about what they're feeling, because then they'll come up to the end and say, "Oh, that was great, that was so," and that really is heartwarming. But sometimes it's easy to look out there and get the impression that they're all just waiting for you to stop, and it's not the case. So that was a difficult thing for me to get over. And actually, the playing, no. The only time when I got nervous about playing as a drum clinic was when I did the drum clinic at the collective, the Drummers Collective. There I was nervous because that like Mike Stern was playing. No, I know he's not a drummer, but he was playing. And Will Calhoun was then Steve Smith was in the building at the same. That's like, and that was tough. That was tough. But it went really well, so I'm very happy about that. Back in the day.
Back in the day. Cool. So now, a kind of personal question: Why you left England and moved to France?
You're right. That is a personal question.
So sorry. Then let's move on.
No, it was just no. I'm joking. It's okay. That's it, it's a very good question. So, what on earth am I doing down here apart from obviously the sun? But it was personal reasons, personal relationship reasons, and it's great down here. I'm joking about the sun, but that does add. But I miss English weather. But that it was just a personal relationship thing at the time that made me move. Was it going to be temporary? I don't know. Who knows? But I'm here now, and that's it. Sometimes I think about coming back to England because I miss England. But if I came back to England, I'd miss France. So just depends. It just depends. I went through a period in France where I really felt like, and I just can't do it. I've got to go back. And now I feel great here. Yeah, just getting it all going. I mean, the grass is always greener wherever you are. You know what I mean? So
True. But but do you professionally do you regret making that decision?
not no, sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I think, what am I doing here? I would say specific, not France, but Marseille, because it really isn't what I'd say the center of rock and roll, or a blues hotspot, or you know what I mean. It really is not, and there's not a wild amount of opportunities to play in contemporary groups. I mean, there is, but I think the point is you've got to travel now anyway. But there are some opportunities, but it isn't conducive to really to playing as much, say, in certain places, maybe in England or whatever. But you deal with it, and you do. There are worse places music wise. But it's a good question, yeah. But no, even for that, no, because we're doing so much stuff now. I think you can live in anywhere now and travel and do these things. Again, when normally.
Yeah. Yeah, the positive side of the pandemic is that nobody's playing. Doesn't matter where they live. I have in the last year I have the same amount of gigs as the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Fair point. Yeah, no, it's a real. I mean, that's obviously. I guess there's no. I don't know if I want to talk about that, but it's really tough on musicians, isn't it? Really, really is. Um, just p- professionally, obviously, but personally, I mean, that's our. That's where our heart is. That's what I find the most difficult. Talking about outside of the fact that people are dying, but what I'm talking about is within the what you say about lockdown and those restrictions. I think that's what hurts the most, is just not being able to have any social contact or distancing. Distances as playing. Sorry, it's all about social distancing right now. So that's the tricky part of it for all of us.
And musicians, on most part, we start playing music because we want to play for other people. So it's really tough
Yeah, that's
playing for a computer screen.
yeah. I mean, again, the pandemic has helped in a certain way to open channels via Zoom, like what we're doing now. I mean, maybe you wouldn't be doing this show on Zoom with all these drummers if if there'd been no lockdown and stuff like that. I don't know. So things are born out of it, and using technology is born out of it as well. And but yeah, again, you're right. I mean, I don't believe it's the new normal. I don't. I hear this. Yeah, this is the new normal concerning lessons and so on. I personally don't believe it. I think it's a great addition, but we all want to get out there and play live with other musicians, to other people, normally in the same room if possible,
Yeah.
in the same town, country, whatever, something. So there we go. Yeah.
Kira?
Has COVID made you reassess any area of your life?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 How long have we got? I mean,
I guess that was a deep question, judging by his reaction. Like, oh my God, let the therapy begin.
everything, and I think I could probably, I would imagine that most people would feel like that. I mean, on a professional level, on the personal level, social level, yeah. I mean, it's got to, on a mystical level, not for myself. I'm not very mystical, but yeah, I think on many levels, it must have been a big reevaluation for a lot of people. Surely, yeah, yeah, yeah. And we suddenly realise what's important, don't we? What I'm saying? So, yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Have this assessment of the things in your life, how much have you changed? Obviously, there's the change of not teaching in person. There's the change of not playing live. But what have you changed about your life because of the pandemic after you reassessed what happened?
Yeah, that's a good one in that sense. Well, many things on a personal level that I'm not going to really go into right here, but just more on a personal level really than anything else. And on a professional level, I think the thing to do on a professional level, talking about professional life, is to do all the things we didn't do right now during the pandemic, the things that we can do, and that we don't have time to do when we're all out there teaching, playing, and all that sort of stuff. Like like doing videos, like we're doing, like you doing this thing here. This is great. I'm doing some writing for a potential album with one of the guys in my jazz fusion group. That's going to be great. These are all things that okay, we can't do that, but what can we do? So it does open up those avenues in that sense, and the rest of it really is just personal reflections and but I think that happens all the time anyway. But there's nothing like COVID and such to make you reevaluate many personal things. But as I say, I'm not necessarily going to go into them.
No, yeah, I'm not asking you to go there, but to because one thing is having a situation where makes you think about life, and the other thing is actually taking action and changing.
Oh,
But don't worry, I'm not going to ask any more personal than that.
But I mean, the point of the question is that, of course, it does make you reevaluate many things, both personal and professional, obviously. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and then you have to do them, obviously. Yeah.
Cool. Kira?
If you were only able to teach someone one thing, what would it be?
Wow, what a question! It's amazing. Drums.
Ah! Damn it! No.
I assume you're talking about drums for a start, and then one technique.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. A molar stroke or a rebound. Rebound. Yeah. I mean, it depends how large am I allowed to go. I mean, move.
I'll accept that. I'll accept that answer. Yeah.
If I could sum it up, it does sum it up. The freedom of movement of the drumstick. There you go.
Cool. Yeah, nice.
What would you say to your younger self?
That's a great question. turn around and go back.
Don't play drums.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would not say that. I mean, what would I say to my younger self? I think, you know what? I wouldn't ask him to change anything, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's so nice.
It doesn't mean that everything's hunky dory, believe me. Um, I mean, there are individual things again that I probably can't say right now. But I mean, I'd say, you know, that day when you do that and you just don't do that would be in there. You know, when so and so says, yeah, well, don't answer that. So obviously, personal choices. But I'm not really a believer in saying, oh, I wish I could change that. I mean, obviously there's things where oh, why did I ever do that, or why did I do that? But generally speaking, you are where you are because that's your life, and I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it. I mean, I wouldn't change it because I haven't changed it ever. You know what I mean? So I'm where I am because I've made all these decisions, and that makes you who you are. So other than one or two key points, but I mean, yeah. No, it is a deep question, but I personally know. I have to accept my life how it is, and I do, and I'm, happy with it. Otherwise, other than a few things, as I say, but yeah.
That's called maturity.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
impressed.
great. That's lovely.
Too mature for a drummer. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair point. No, but it's a very good question. Very, very good question. Very, 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 almost impossible to answer, really. You know.
I have a question that for me would be a nightmare to answer. Is there the style of music that you would let's say if you could have like as a drummer, I want to have one band that plays one style of music and make my career like that. Would you have a style like that you would?
Yeah. Well, we all like playing loads of different stuff. Well, most people, maybe some people don't. Some people are just playing just this. Okay, fair point. But my choice, and it is my choice, is playing the weird jazz fusion stuff. Because that is my choice because that's what I did, and now I'm very, very careful about who I choose to, what projects I choose to play on. Generally speaking, or certainly when I spend so much of my time playing for other people and doing whatever I need to do, and I try to do them all with conviction. And I think, as as I mentioned in some of my videos, when I play certain styles, I think generally speaking, I play them as authentically as possible. Because there's nothing worse than playing something that's got to be simple and a really simple feel, and it's just too complicated. That is maybe a lack of maturity. So I thank myself and my age for giving me that present now to have that maturity to be able to make those choices without having to prove anything. So the simple music, I love playing simple music, but my choice would be the jazz fusion style, and that's why I set that band up, because I think for now, although I'm happy playing bass in a group that does much more simpler stuff, I would not like to be a drummer in that band. Even the Iron Maiden cover band we did, I preferred the bass as a choice than the drums, even though obviously there's fantastic drum parts that Nico's playing, obviously. I'm not saying anything is simple about those parts, but for me, to be on the drum kit, I need to be challenged at that level. But it's not necessarily the music that I would listen to the most or that I like the most. I like loads of different styles of music, but to play, now where I am, I need to be playing something that's really coming out to get me. That's to really have fulfillment. Yeah, I would say that. So that's what it would be, basically. Yeah. Great. Well, we've had a lot of questions, haven't we? A lot of great questions in there. Really, thanks for this opportunity. Great fun.
Well, thank you very much for accepting our invitation and taking the time to answer the questions.
That's a very, very, very honored. Very honored. Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, then.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Hirons.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Go out into the nice warm sun.
Yeah, you should
I'll
do that.
enjoy. Yeah.
We cannot do that today.
No.
All right. Okay, so cool. Bye-bye.
Cool. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.